Joanna Small, Public Affairs and Communications Manager for the Lynnwood Police Department. It's Friday, March 4th, and this is your LPD Video Week in Review. Here's a summary of the most notable calls your Lynnwood police officers responded to over this past week or so. Late last month, officers responded to a home burglary in the 16,000 block of 44th Avenue West. The homeowners told us they may have left a window unlocked, and that could possibly be the way the suspect entered the home. A number of expensive electronic items were gone, to include an iPad, a MacBook, a Nintendo Switch, and a PlayStation. Additionally, nearly a dozen pairs of Nike Jordans valued at several $100s each and about $500 in Pokemon cards appeared to have been stolen. Initially, the laptop's Find My iPhone application allowed it to be tracked to another residence, but no one responded there when we attempted to make contact, and the laptop is no longer traceable. Thanks to the victims having obtained the serial numbers for several of the stolen items, our detectives are at least able to continue checking pawn shops to see if they pop up in any store inventory. Also, late last month, detectives were called to the Lynnwood Hilton Garden Inn for a report that an employee had been sexually assaulted by another employee. The victim explained she was cleaning a room inside the hotel when a male employee came in and attempted to kiss her, then pulled her shirt and pants down as she repeatedly said no and attempted to escape. She was finally able to get away, and she called a relative, then the police. The suspect is now facing assault with sexual motivation charges. On February 22nd, officers observed a man in the process of jump-starting a vehicle with no license plates. He told officers he had just purchased the car from an individual. When officers ran his information through dispatch, they learned he had a warrant out of Seattle for DUI. During the arrest process, officers found a checkbook belonging to someone from Shoreline and a check made out to someone with a similar name as the suspect for nearly $5,000. Officers called the owner of the checkbook, who confirmed that someone had tried to cash a fraudulent check in her name. There was also a check from the U.S. Treasury that appeared to have an altered name. There were several additional checks from accounts belonging to other people, one of whom had recently reported a purse theft in Everett. The vehicle was impounded due to our inability to contact the actual registered owner, and the suspect is facing several charges, to include possession of stolen property. On February 22nd, officers responded several times to the Fred Meyer for reports of a domestic violence incident. At one point, an employee called 911 to report a man had forced a woman out of a car and nearly ran her over. The employee estimated the vehicle accelerated to approximately 30 miles per hour in the parking lot as the woman clung to the side. The man fled in the vehicle and ended up driving to our police station several hours later. When officers approached him, he ran across the street and continued fleeing for several blocks before finally stopping. He's now facing obstructing a law enforcement officer, resisting arrest, assault, and reckless endangerment related to domestic violence charges. On March 2nd, officers were called to Ulta Beauty for reports of the second theft in 2 days involving the same person. When we arrived, we were told that the day before, this person, as well as a woman, had stolen $3,000 worth of fragrances. The male suspect had returned the following day and stolen several $100s in perfume on his own. Officers were able to locate the suspect near the store and took him into custody. He appeared heavily intoxicated and needed a sternum rub to be revived. Inside the vehicle, he had arrived at the Ulta Inn. There was an empty bottle of Crown Royal whiskey. We ran his name through our database and learned he was under Department of Corrections supervision for unlawful possession of a firearm and therefore could not be in possession of or under the influence of alcohol. He was arrested for first-degree organized retail theft. On March 1st, officers were called to Fred Meyer for malicious mischief in progress. When we arrived, we observed a man experiencing some kind of mental health crisis, waving his hands and yelling for officers to shoot him. Officers learned he had used large rocks to smash several vehicle windows in the parking lot, and when we asked him why, he continued to yell about police corruption. The total property damage caused was estimated at $7,000. The man was transported to the Snohomish County Jail for felony malicious mischief, and he spent the duration of the transport yelling racial slurs and threats at the officer. Early yesterday morning, officers responded to a residence near Scriber Lake Park for reports of a domestic violence stabbing. When we arrived, we interviewed the victim, who said his roommate had attempted to stab him in the chest with a knife, then walked into Scriber Lake Park. The officers physically observed the suspect in the park before they had established probable cause for his arrest for assault. Once probable cause was established, we utilized a Snohomish County canine to help track the suspect through the park and found him hiding in bushes. Because we did not know whether he was still armed with the knife, officers waited for more backup to arrive and then took the suspect safely into custody. The knife was not recovered. That's all for now. We'll see you next time.